Welcome back to another episode of the Down the Line podcast. I am once again joined by my co-host Ethan.
What's up? Funnily enough, we're back to Thursday.
We are unintentionally scheduled back to our Thursday thing. Um, we have another quick episode, or not another quick episode, a quick kind of turnaround for an episode. I think the last one went up on Monday. That was the before the wild card ones, and we are just after the division series. I think the Red Sox Yankees game at 10 minutes ago maybe. The Yankees advanced on that one, so we're gonna look by each series, and then we're gonna look first at the division series that we have coming up. First thing that I want to say really quick, Ethan, our brackets are perfect. Our brackets are still perfect. We're still alive.
4 for 4.
We were 4 for 4 the wild card series. We're still alive. We'll see if one of the division series breaks it. Decent chance that one of them breaks. But yeah, as of right now, both of our brackets are still fully intact. But yeah, all the wild card series are done. We have our division series matchups. It's a pretty good series, pretty good games. Some fantastic pitching outings, by the way. Absolutely ridiculous outings by some pitchers. Most of the starting pitchers the series were, in any of the series, were fantastic. Most of them, at least.
I mean, yeah, we could start it off, I guess, talking about the first game that started, which was the first series based off time, Tigers Guardians.
That was ridiculous. That pitching matchup. On paper, you wouldn't expect fucking Gavin Williams to be going toe to toe Tarek Skubal. No disrespect.
Look, Gavin Williams had a good year.
Yeah,
obviously not this. We didn't think
that's not disrespect him. That's just to say that Tarek Skubal is just on another planet, right? Like he's like him and Paul Skeens, and that's the only two, right? You wouldn't expect someone, sure. Even though Gavin Williams, is very good. You wouldn't expect him to go pretty much toe to toe with Tarek Skubal. Like he didn't allow an earned run. Keyword earned run. Is his whole start. He struck out 8 batters. Tarek Skubal, though, outing,
that's the thing. I mean, we could talk about Skubal all day, and we've done segments on him where we just talk about how good it is.
We've done Glaze.
Look, 14 strikeouts, unbelievable. 3 hits and 1 earned run. He did walk some guys, but obviously you're fine with it considering he gave up a singular run.
Yeah.
But the big numbers to look out are Gavin Williams with 19 whiffs and Skubal with 26 on the day.
Absolutely.
That's just unreal pitching
matchup, man. That series as a whole was kind of crazy. The Guardians, low key, game 2, they decided to play some ethical ass ball right there. They came up
I'll say it was a more entertaining series than I thought it was going to be.
It was definitely. It wasn't really hard to figure out why they got the 1 p.m. start. With all due respect to both teams,
yeah.
But a lot of Cleveland's pitchers, even Tanner Bybee. I know he didn't get out of the 5th inning, and admittedly he didn't have a spectacular outing, but he only allowed 1 run, right? He only allowed 1 run. More base runners than you would like, but it wasn't awful. Cleveland's bullpen really locked down that game too, and then not to mention their offense coming through late in the game. Pair of home runs and then back-to-back doubles in the 8th inning. Scored, I think, 5 runs for them. Yeah, 5 runs in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. Low-key, something that was kind of interesting in that game was how quickly... Usually, you see pitchers with a lot shorter leashes in the postseason, but I don't know about you, Ethan. I feel like a lot of the leashes were, unnecessarily short. They didn't really...
I 100% agree.
For game 2, Cleveland, Detroit, not that it really mattered because I don't really think this would have affected anything, but they pulled Casey Mize really early. He had pitched 3 innings, allowed only 3 base runners, threw just over 60 pitches, and they took him out of the game, which is kind of weird. You know what I mean? I had a really hard time trying to wrap my head around it. He walked the leadoff batter in the 4th, and they're like, "Yeah, you're gone." It's like, what?
There was some interesting pitching, I guess, hooks. I mean, some of them made sense, obviously. You know what I mean? Brian Bayo coming out of the game after giving up.
Yeah, he very obviously did not have his good stuff.
Same with Hunter Green against the Dodgers. But, there are some where it's just kind of the one I'm looking at, too, is Dylan Cease.
It's did we really... I was thinking... Yeah, you know what? I was thinking that exact same thing when I was watching that game. And you know what? In all fairness, we did say that if that bullpen comes in with a lead, they might win them the game, and it kind of did. I don't think they allowed a single. I think they allowed one base runner that whole bullpen. But again, I don't really think they had to take out Cease in that situation. I just want to circle back to Guardians Tigers though, and then today it was looking like another. They're gonna go deadlocked right till the end of the game, and then Detroit just busted open in the seventh. Just starts rallying together. Just absolutely rallying. Jose Ramirez, some big base running blunders by him in the series. He had the one in, I think it was game one, where he got thrown out at third on a ground ball, like trying to advance to home, and they caught him in a pickle. Pretty sure that was him, if I remember right. And then he had the one, he reached on the air that scored 2 runs, and then he wasn't fully running to second, and so they threw, and then he got thrown out. He was originally called safe, and then they the Tigers challenged it, and then they saw he was out. And they were saying on the broadcast, like, dude, why was he not running? And even I noticed that too. I was like, yo, you gotta run on that. When they called him safe, I was like, shit, you got it. I couldn't see the other side, obviously, so I couldn't see he was out, and then showed the replay, but that's something you gotta run on. It's not the reason they lost, because, you know, they allowed 6 runs. Like, you just gotta be better than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, big tough scene there. But regardless of how it ended, though, making the playoffs in baseball is really hard. So shout out to the Guardians. Shout out to them for making the playoffs, winning that division too.
15 and a half back. It just sucks to see, you know, you get the home field advantage and then you lose in front of the home crowd after that magical comeback. It would be disappointing as a fan, obviously, but you know, if you were to, I don't want to be that guy, but like, if you were to ask Guardians fans 2 months ago, hey, what are your thoughts if you get bounced in the first round at home, but you guys make an insane comeback and you get a month of just incredibly fun baseball to watch in terms of, you know, watching your team win. I'm not going to get into the ethics of their gameplay, but
the ethical ball and unethical ball.
But, you know, I'm sure the fans would say, you know, given what we saw near the deadline with, you know, we lost Bieber, who was the fans love. Steven Kwan, who the fans also love, you know, definitely hearing his name being thrown around in rumors. You know, I definitely think that this is much better than the alternative, for sure, which was sell off, miss the playoffs, and then God knows what happens in the off season.
Yeah, that would not have looked great for them. But overall, like, a really good season. Their offense, like, outside of like that one inning in game 2, their offense just was not hitting. Like, that's really what it is. And I hate to be that guy. It wasn't really that hard to see coming. It wasn't really that hard to see coming. Like we had said, I'd said this on our preview, or in our wildcard preview episode. Like, this team doesn't hit the ball hard. I said maybe some of the weak contact can mess with the Tigers' defense a little bit, and you did see that at times because the Tigers' defense isn't really that good. That they did fumble a few easy plays, but that can only take you so far. If you're not making good enough contact. And you saw what happens in game 2 when they're making really good contact and you're barreling the ball, you're getting extra base hits. You see what happens. You score 5 runs in an inning, you win 6-1, you score 6, right? You see what happens when you do that. I'm pretty sure there's only been one team so far in the series that's a loss despite out-homering their opponent. I'm pretty sure it was the Yankees in game 1. I'm pretty sure outside of that, every single team that's out-homered their opponent has won the game this postseason. If I'm keeping track correctly, but
again, that just shows home runs are king in the playoffs. You need them to win.
It is. If you're gonna out-homer your opponent, you're most likely going to win. Not that home runs necessarily decided this series, because there was not a lot of them. I'm pretty sure Detroit might have only hit was that Dylan Dingler one the only one of the series? I think it might have been, actually. I don't think they hit any other home runs this series, unless I'm just forgetting. Maybe
no,
not.
I think that was actually that sounds about right.
That was their only home run of the series. So yeah, that is correct. That was their only home run of the series. But yeah, the Tigers, they're going to move on. They are going to face Seattle in the ALDS. We'll take a look at that matchup after. Which matchup do you want to talk about next?
We could go on the opposite side of the bracket and talk about the second series that kicked off, which was Padres and the Cubs.
Padres-Cubs. This was also a fun series. These two teams, they had some question marks, right? I think both rotations had some big question marks. The Cubs bullpen had some question marks, and the Padres offense, I think, had some question marks. And albeit this is actually a pretty low scoring matchup. Granted, like these teams, they each have some parts of their pitching staff that are really good. The front end of the Cubs rotation has the potential to be really good. Matt Boyd in game 1 had a pretty solid outing. Again, he also got a pretty early hook. I don't really think he had to get hooked super, super early. He hadn't even thrown 60 pitches, and he got pulled in the 5th despite not having a bad line at all.
Yeah.
But by the way, I just want to say, their bullpen locked that game down. Their bullpen went perfect. They didn't allow a single base runner. So shout out to those guys. But that first game...
I have a question. What was the decision with starting Kittredge in game 2?
So, the thing there is, you when you're looking at the pitchers you're going to start, you're like, oh, am I going to start Tyone? Am I going to start Imanaga? Tyone, I think they might have wanted to save for game 3, or maybe they wanted Imanaga.
I guess
out
I'm
there,
more so
but
asking why didn't they start Imanaga? Yeah.
The thing with Imanaga is that he has a really bad home run problem. I'm pretty sure his home runs per 9 on the season is almost 2, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot higher in the second half. He did not have a good second half of the season at all. So no. I don't think they wanted him out there quite as much, and I think that's why he was only out there for like 4 innings. And
yeah,
I mean, in those 4 innings, he did allow 2 runs, gave up a long ball. I think that was kind of the concern. He allowed 31 home runs in the regular season. It's not like home runs are necessarily a new thing for him. Even last year, it was like just under 1.5 home runs per 9. But this season, obviously, a little bit worse. His strikeouts were down, walks were up. He just wasn't as great in the second half, and I don't think you'd want to throw him out there at the start. I'm not necessarily one who loves bullpen games, but I can understand being a little bit weary of, if we'd let Imanaga just go, right? That's one thing that I was thinking of even before I had wrote about it too. This was another one where all 3 games, the team that out-homered the other one won. In the first game, the Cubs had the back-to-back home runs in, was it the 5th inning, 6th inning, I think? Seiya Suzuki and Carson Kelly, of all people.
I mean, they've been good all year. They've definitely,
okay.
Carson Kelly.
Carson Kelly in the second half was not good. Michael Busch wasn't good for most of the second half, and then he picked it up near the end.
But Carson Kelly, based off of looking before the season on what you'd expect him to do and his overall numbers, definitely exceeded expectations.
That too. That absolutely. And then this game as well. Those the pair of home runs actually. So Busch and Merrill. They made the 9th inning interesting in game 3. they made it. I don't know if you caught it, but they almost rallied back. I'm pretty sure they ended the game with the tying runs on second base. It's 2nd and 3rd, I think, 2 outs. It was 2 hit by pitches.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like, uh-oh.
What about that call on Bogaerts? I mean, that could have changed everything. If that's called ball 4, that's bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah.
And then, the ground ball could have scored one, and then the fly ball to end the game to PCA could have potentially tied it.
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. That's absolutely true. But yeah, man, that was another that one, like the Cubs, like I'm not gonna say they like blew it open or they were running away with it because it's only 3-0. Like you can. Men on first and second, 1 swing and tie that game. But like, you go in 3-0. I'm pretty sure they got the first out of the inning too, or no, sorry, they got the home run and then they had the strikeout. So they had 1 out and they still had to score 2 runs to tie the game. You're feeling relatively confident about that, right? It's still a doable comeback, but as a Cubs fan, you're probably feeling okay about it. And then you hit back-to-back batters. I think it was Ryan O'Hearn and who was the other one? I think it was Bryce Johnson. I want to say.
Sounds right. Yeah.
And then
because then it was Cronenworth the ground out. Then
Yeah. As a Cubs fan, you're probably sitting there and you're going, "Oh fuck, that's back-to-back guys who just got hit." Obviously, they took Kittredge right out of the game after that because he obviously just didn't have it. And again, like a lot of what the playoffs is just riding the hot hand, right? That's why I think you see a lot more of these like very quick hooks for starters. Although in some instances, you just don't see the pitcher get pulled at all. One yesterday, or not yesterday. Well, actually, yes, yesterday. Was Garrett Whitlock just getting hung out to dry by Alex Cora. Like, left him out there for almost 50 pitches. He obviously didn't have it. Got pulled like 4 or 5 batters too late. I think we could probably transition and start talking about that series, I think. Unintentionally brought us to the next series that started. We'll start at game one, I guess.
Wait. About the series, one last thing quickly.
Oh yeah.
That Mason Miller pitch, the 104.5
How do you
on
hit
the
him?
paint,
How do you hit him?
Is that
might be the best
like
pitch
in
ever.
contention for the greatest pitch? Yeah,
It is 104 on the low and away corner. I don't know what you're supposed to do with that pitch. Like, genuinely, what do you do? Someone tell me, what do you do? Someone tell me what you do.
I genuinely don't know what there is that you could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, man. It's I'll say one more thing about the series though. A lot of the things that happened in the series, it was like relatively kind of like, I don't want to say predictable, but it was like you could see these kind of things like happening with these teams. Like, obviously, it was more of a pitcher's duel, but like one question that the Padres had coming into it was like they don't make very good contact, and so are they going to be able to muster up any runs at all? And I think they scored 1 in game 1, 3 in game 2, and then 1 in game 3. So 5 runs across the entire series. And it's like, yeah, I can't say I'm that surprised. And the Cubs were mostly getting their home runs by the long ball. It's just these kinds of things you see ended up really just powering the Cubs out. And then, of course, the one game that the Padres bullpen basically single-handedly won them the game. Well, not single-handedly, because they did have a big homer in there, too, by Machado. But, the team's strengths were really showing in this series, especially, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Now we'll go to Red Sox Yankees. We'll start game 1. Garrett fucking Crochet, man. Oh my god.
Speaking of unhittable pitchers, I don't know exactly what you're supposed to do when he's on the mound. You just gotta kind of go out there, hope and pray.
We started the day with obviously Skubal and Gavin Williams. Both pitched fantastic. And then even in the other matchup, Nick Pivetta was okay. He could have been better, but I'm pretty sure actually only allowed 3 hits, and it was 2 of them were the home runs. But he still pitched pretty good. Matt Boyd was bad either. And then you go to this matchup. Max Fried pitched very well for the Yankees. He didn't allow a single earned run. And then Garrett Crochet, just like the outing of his life. 7 2/3, 11 strikeouts, 4 hits. Didn't walk a single batter. Just 1 run allowed. And then they go to Chapman, and then he gets the 4-out save. And I'm pretty sure, actually, there was a quote that, like, Crochet was told, like, yeah, if I go to the bullpen, it's going to be for Chapman, and that's it. Absolutely insane matchup there. Game 1 hero, by the way, Trevor Story. Shout out to him. Demon Trevor Story. He was really good across...
he had a hell of a series.
He was. He had a home run. I think he had like 5 hits over the 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, he had the base hit that I think tied the game, and then the home run late. Like, it just
he was their offense.
Or it was the home run first
game.
Rather, and then
whichever order. I don't remember what order it was in. But yeah, man, he was their offense in that second game. He had you're right, the single and the home run. It was crazy. It was absolutely insane. One thing I want to say really quick. What do you think about, you know how a lot of people were flaming Aaron Boone for sitting Jazz and Ben Rice in the first game? What do you think of
that? So I think personally that not having Jazz in that game and Rice, I don't see the issue. That's not to say that these are bad players or bad hitters by any means, and people are going to say, oh, well, look at Jazz. I mean, look at the defense he made, the base running. He won them the game in game 2. And, yes, that can be true. But when I'm looking at who I'm starting, Garrett Crochet this season had the 9th lowest on-base percentage in MLB history as a lefty versus lefties. Or not as a lefty, just versus lefties in general. Mm-hmm. With a 193 on-base percentage.
Yeah.
And to put things in perspective, 2021 Jacob deGrom, lefties had a 167 on-base percentage against him. Mm-hmm. And Pedro Martinez's career high, as well as Sandy Koufax's, both 190. He's up there with some elite company, and, filling your lineup full of switch hitters or righties, I don't see any issue at all. You want to get that advantage because Crochet is one of the best pitchers on the planet. In reality, doesn't really matter what handedness you are, he'll probably get you out. However, you want to maximize your chances of getting on base.
Yeah, absolutely. Every single tiny little advantage that you can get in a matchup is absolutely massive. And in the case of Jazz and Ben Rice, like Jazz, for example, is someone who is a significantly worse hitter against lefties. His WRC plus is down like 30 points against lefties. He's 106 against lefties. Still technically above average, but still significantly worse against righties. And then Ben Rice, it is a pretty similar story. 104 WRC plus against lefties versus a 141 against right-handed pitching. Paul Goldschmidt, for example, he started in place of Ben Rice. He started at first base in Game 1. He had a 125 WRC plus against lefties across the whole season, hit over 300. He is very good against left-handed pitching. Definitely better than Ben Rice in that specific regard. Or sorry, Ahmed Rosario. I'm looking at Rosario saying, not Goldschmidt. I'm so sorry. Rosario had a 125 WRC plus against lefties, significantly better than what Jazz's mark is, right? Which gives you the advantage in the matchup. Okay? Like you said, you want every single tiny thing that you can get. Playoffs, you have to, every single thing matters so much more. They might not have done this in a regular season game because they just want to have their best guys out there. I do not think that Jazz and Ben Rice are so ridiculously good that you need to have them out there at every single moment. Paul Goldschmidt, by the way, regular season against lefties, 169 WRC plus. And listen to me, I know that everyone sitting there who's typing and saying, what the hell are you talking about? I know that Ben Rice, he hit the first pitch he saw in Game 2 out of the yard. He was facing a right-handed pitcher who he slugs over 500 against. Not a left-handed pitcher where he's barely hitting over 200 against them. All right? That is why you saw both of those guys who started in Game 1 sit in Game 2 because they are significantly worse against right-handed pitching. Both WRC plus against righties. Ahmed Rosario, 72. Paul Goldschmidt, 74. And like I said, Jazz and Ben Rice, they both hit right-handed pitching very well. They hit lefties good enough that you're totally okay with having them in a lineup, but you're going against Garrett Crochet. Like, you need to get every single tiny opportunity that you can get. And I understand, you want to say, Jazz's defense is base running, it won them Game 2. It would not have made the difference in Game 1, I'm sorry. Like, their offense did not score anything, and at the end of the day, sometimes you make the right decision and it just doesn't work out. Sometimes that just happens, right? I can very easily say that Jazz came in to pinch hit later in the game and he didn't reach base. I can very easily say that too, right?
Exactly, and another thing is that,
and also Paul Goldschmidt had 2 hits in Game 1. He that worked out very well for them.
Yeah, I mean, another thing with this is that obviously, Roman Anthony would have helped this team, but you look at a 4-0 loss, and obviously hats off to Cam Schlittler. I mean, absolutely nuts insane performance. First ever professional game with 10 plus strikeouts, and it comes in an elimination game at Yankee Stadium. All the pressure in the world on his back, and he delivers. What a performance. Connolly early also had a very good game. Unfortunately, didn't get the win, unfortunately for him, but Schlittler, what a game. And look, Roman Anthony definitely would help.
Yeah.
But you know what the thing that we talked about time and time again, at least 3 different times, of what the Red Sox's biggest need is?
Tell me what it is, Ethan. Tell me what it is.
It's a superstar bat like Rafael Devers.
Yup, and they didn't have it. They didn't.
And it just comes back to that. I'm not going to say that if they had Devers, they win the game or they win the series, because obviously you don't know that.
You can't make that. He very well could have gone 0 for 4 or whatever, right? But
yeah,
it's giving yourself that chance, right? You can make again. It's like I just said. You can make the objectively correct decision, and it just doesn't work out. You can put fucking prime Barry Bonds in your lineup, and he goes 0 for 4, right? Or that doesn't mean you should have sat him. Like, that's objectively the right move, is to put him in your lineup. Sometimes it doesn't work out. I just want to go back to Schlittler very quick. I want you to guess, who was the last pitcher who went 8 plus scoreless innings in a playoff debut? I want you to guess who the last one was.
Ooh, that's actually an interesting one.
I just saw it when I was scrolling the timeline right after the game, like right before we started.
I was gonna say like someone like Mad Bum maybe.
But you're in the kind of the same ballpark, same era, kind of.
Same ballpark, like Yankees, I imagine. Same era.
Give you a hint, he's a righty.
I don't. That doesn't really help in the sense of in a sense of this. Same era. I'm trying to think who it could have been.
Cy Young winner.
I don't know why I'm like I completely blanking on who it could be. So I'm gonna obviously take a guess. Same era.
Cy Young winner. Who you got for me? Who was the last one to do it? 8+ scoreless innings in a playoff in a postseason
Could it
debut.
have been Kluber?
Jake Arrieta
Oh, I mean,
did
yeah,
it
I
in
guess that makes sense.
2015.
Obviously,
Did it in 2015. Absolutely ridiculous line by him. Yeah, man. The Yankees bats were getting it in the other two games in the series. Also, I just want to say, we don't really need to flame Boone for pulling Fried in Game 1, because honestly, that was kind of the right move. His velo and his stuff was significantly deteriorating. But anyways, I just had to dispel something I thought was really stupid. Yeah, the bats were starting to get it, right? Ben Rice, he had the home run in Game 2. They got a couple big hits. Obviously, Austin Wells with a big hit. They had the rally today in the fourth inning that really got it. And you want to know one of the big guys who was contributing to that rally? It was Ahmed Rosario with an RBI base hit.
yeah, I mean that was definitely a good pickup from the Yankees at the deadline. And
did you see the?
You know who else was?
Who?
Bednar.
Bednar. Yup, this is true. And I was gonna say, you want to know who else was?
Who?
Ryan McMahon. Did you see that play he had?
Oh, that guy. I'm gonna say something that's gonna piss Yankee fans off, but it's the objective truth. That was better than the Jeter catch, and it's not close.
Woo, that was crazy, man. That place was. Whew, that was a tight.
Yeah.
That play was
What
tight.
a catch.
That play was tight.
That's
man.
the thing. And look, that gets us into the next year's. Because it's just a long list of things that happened. But Ryan McMahon proved that his glove can be good, right?
He can. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
You know who the guy that we were talking about a potential fit for the Yankees were?
Who are you talking about?
Brian Hayes. He didn't look great defensively in that series. There was one in particular where he just didn't charge the ball. It was weird. And obviously, if he's not doing it with his glove, he sure as hell isn't really making it up with his bat.
Yeah. Usually not really. I don't think he had a hit in those two games, actually. I don't think he had a hit across. Yeah, he was combined 0 for 6 in the series, which is kind of tough. Again, that's not someone you're expecting to be like a big-time offensive contributor for them, but even so, it still kind of stings a little bit. This was probably the least entertaining matchup, to be honest. There were still some cool things that come out of it, like Blake Snell and Yamamoto were absolutely spectacular. Hunter Green, unfortunately, didn't pitch that great. He, I think, allowed 5 runs or 6 runs, and I don't think he made it out of the 4th inning. I think he got pulled. I can't remember if he got pulled into the 4th inning or if he just got pulled right after the 3rd ended. I can't exactly remember. But yeah, it wasn't looking too hot for them. The Dodgers fucking powered their way to a win that one. I think they hit 5 home runs in Game 1. Although Game 2, they were up big, and then they almost blew the game.
Yeah.
Dodgers bullpen is not good.
Yeah, and one thing that didn't go right for the Reds is Ellie De La Cruz. That was embarrassing. His approach, I don't even know what it was. It was almost as if he was waiting. He was sitting like off speed, but chasing it at the same time. Like it was really weird. It didn't look like he was going up there to hit a fastball. First of all, second of all, I think we have to have a conversation about him. Is it fair to say that if he might be better off dropping the switch hitter act and being a left-handed hitter?
This is a hot take. I think maybe it's not a hot take. I think 99% of switch hitters would be infinitely better if they dropped the switch hitting thing. I think so many of them would be better because it's like there are so many switch hitters where you go and you look and you see their splits and they are so much better from one side.
Yeah.
And admittedly, it is obviously different to hit a lefty as a lefty than a righty. But for example, from the right side this year, obviously he had a 64 WRC plus. 64.
Yeah, I was looking at those numbers the other day, and it's 128 as a lefty, and it just begs the question: at what point do you say, all right, we don't need the matchup this bad? Because if you're going up as a 64 WRC plus bat, That's awful.
That's
That's
bad.
a very bad hitter.
If you had that WRC plus across your whole slash line, you wouldn't be on a roster. Like
Exactly.
if a player had that, he's lucky to get a minor league deal, that's like
And
the
look
most
at
he's
it,
getting.
and it's obviously not just that. His walk rate drops from 11.5 to 5.2%. His strikeouts jump from 24.6% up to 29%.
Yep.
It's almost as if he's just a completely different player when he hits from the opposite side.
It's not too great. It's not too great. Yeah, I definitely would be in favor of him, and not even just him. Like a lot of switch hitters just sticking to their more dominant side. Unless I mean you crush, but if you crush both, you crush both. But a lot of switch hitters would definitely just benefit from just sticking righty or sticking lefty. I think
Yeah,
the
like
switch hitter thing is a really kind of like, not to say that it's all bad, but it's like kind of a dated idea that it's like an automatic good thing, because in some cases, no, it's actually not that good. Like you see it in this
yeah,
case.
but I mean, there's some guys who are obviously exceptions. I'm looking at a guy like Jose Ramirez, like what he can do from both sides. As a lefty, he'll give you the power. 24 home runs in
Mm-hmm.
419 at bats.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have nearly as much as a righty, 175 at bats, so 6 home runs. You're not
Mm-hmm.
getting as much power, but the average just jumps up. And when you look at the numbers, he stays relatively consistent with his walk rates and strikeout
Mm-hmm.
rates. And, as a lefty, his WRC plus 130, as a righty 141,
Yeah.
that's a guy who you're perfectly fine when he hits from both ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you
Because
look
yeah,
at a guy like
you're still
Ellie,
getting
you're
very
not
good
getting
value
that
there.
damage. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ellie, you're not getting the damage from both sides. You're only getting it from one side. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just, it kind of makes you think that, maybe if he was focused on just hitting from one side, the side he excels in this case, you know, being a left-handed hitter, maybe that's something you explore, whether it's, spring training, you just try going at full time, or just in the early bits of the regular season when, the games aren't as important yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of maybe that's something you look into. It's not something that you obviously see in the postseason. It's like, what, let's just try it because we're losing the series.
Oh yeah,
This is
absolutely.
something that
Yeah, you
it's
don't do, yeah,
mechanical, so
you don't do
it'll
it in a
take
super
time.
important spot. And it's not like it's a new thing for him either. Like last year, it was a lot of the same thing. 135 as a left-handed batter, as a right-handed batter, 83. Or sorry, as a right-handed batter, 83. Sorry, and as a lefty, 135. So it's a lot of the same thing. When he's from the right side, it's not too hot. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
not looking too hot from the right side of the plate. And if you even want to go back 2023, albeit, not the biggest, you know, not nearly as much of a sample. I think it was like just under 100 games. His WRC plus against lefties, which obviously means he's in the righty box, 29. And as a lefty against righties, it was a 107. Clearly, he's just better from the left side of the plate. I think realistically he should just stick to it. If he can improve from the right side of the plate, then more power to him. But like I think at a certain point, you should just stick to what works, right? There is nothing wrong with just being a left-handed batter. That is not a bad thing. There is nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be a switch hitter. You know what I mean? I think at a certain point, like I said, you're kind of just punting for no reason. And if I'm a team and I see Ellie's coming up in a big spot, I'm gonna go, okay, wait, hold on. Let me make sure I have a righty up for when Ellie comes in, because if I have a righty up, I have a much, much higher chance of getting him out. You know what I mean? He walks way less, he strikes out way more, he doesn't hit for nearly the same power or contact. Like, it's infinitely such a better matchup than throwing a lefty and having him at righty-lefty. Yeah, another thing I want to talk about really quick. I want to talk about it a little bit more. Like we touched on it a little bit. The Dodgers bullpen, man, y'all got to figure this out, because again, they almost blew that game. They almost blew that game too, actually, because they allowed the Reds to really get it going. I think they had the tying run up at one point in the eighth inning, if I remember right, and then obviously they got out of it because I would hope you don't blow a 6-run, 7-run lead, whatever it was in the eighth inning there. But oh my god, it was spooky, man. I actually thought for a second Emmett Sheehan got pulled mid count.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
like
So
like
that was really
we
interesting.
we
So
never see that. You
no,
never see someone get pulled unless they're injured. You never see somebody get pulled mid count, and he did not have it. He didn't have it. They were hitting him.
it almost it
He
almost
wasn't
hit
hitting his
him.
spots.
I'm pretty sure it made that a 1-2 count if I'm
It was
remembering
it was
correctly.
1-2, and then Dave Roberts comes
They
in.
bring Vesia in,
He's like, I've had enough. I've had
and
enough.
Will Benson gets. And here's what's really weird: Will Benson gets taken out of the game as the hitter in a 1-2 count. I think that's even worse to do.
I think pulling the pitcher in the middle of a count, I think that just speaks to more how like he just really did not have it. Maybe Roberts was trying to stall just a little bit like right before that to get the other pitcher to get Vesia ready, but pulling a hitter with 2 strikes is so interesting.
That's worse because in my eyes,
You just wasted a bench player for one
Andujar
pitch.
just first of all that, but Andujar just comes up and I can guarantee you in his career of playing baseball, he's never come into a count like into an at bat with a 1-2 count on him.
He came
I
into
think
a
that's a fair
fucking
thing to
MLB The
say.
Show fucking what's the thing in franchise where you're simming and it
Quick
puts you.
counts.
Yeah, he put him in a fucking quick count situation. It's like what the hell?
And his approach is out of whack because, for example, he chased a pitch well above the zone. If you do that in 0-0 count, the first pitch of the at bat, you adjust
It's
from
totally different, right? Like obviously it's not a
but
good outcome, but it's like you know what, you have a few more pitches, whatever, just like hit the next one or don't swing at the next
exactly.
bad one or whatever. Now you're done. You saw one pitch and you're going back to the dugout. That's kind of insane. That's insane.
And especially when Andujar has been one of the biggest reasons why you are in this game because of his performance for the team.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, it's not fair to him. And it's just not fair to, well, yeah, it's just not fair to, the team, I guess, because you're putting them at a disadvantage there. Benson was already in the count. I'm not even going to care about the splits here. I don't care. If you start the at-bat, unless you're hurt, you finish the at-bat.
I don't know what his splits are off the top of my head, but
He deserved the right to finish that at-bat.
The way that I'm thinking about it, even aside from like he deserves this or deserves that, it's just a very like you're getting no value out of it because you're getting one pitch, right? Like he could be out on the very next pitch, and I understand in theory if he comes in pinches for a guy, he could ground out on the first pitch too. But in that scenario, you are at least working from a fresh count. You are not going in there and instantly having your back up against the wall. You know what I mean?
He's basically the same. And here's what really makes no sense. His walk rate against lefties is almost 10% higher than versus righties. So he would have taken that pitch that was high, for example, making a 2-2 count on this hypothetical if he got that same pitch. Mm-hmm. And he could have worked it knowing how good he is at drawing walks from, against left-handed pitchers. It just makes it even more confusing.
Yeah, that's a really weird thing. Obviously, like, it doesn't really matter too much. I doubt it would change the outcome of the game.
That's not why they lost, yes.
But it's still a really weird thing to look at. Terry Francona had some really interesting managerial decisions in this series, and I was really, like, scratching my head at a lot of them, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Why did this happen?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is going on? Why did you get... Like, okay, I understand Andrew Abbott wasn't fully... Like, he wasn't able to start, right? Because, obviously, the rest thing. But, at the same time, you maybe could have brought him in, like, relief or something in, like, Game 2, maybe, to maybe help you out a little bit, even if you're only going to get, like, an inning or two out of him. You maybe could have split him and Lodolo throughout the outing. And it probably would have fared a lot better, I'm not even going to lie, because, listen, we said that the Zach Littell pickup was good, not because we want him starting Game 2 of the playoff series, because, that's a good 4 or 5 starter to get you through the rest of the year. Not because you want him facing the Dodgers in an elimination game. That's not why we said this was a good pickup. And the other thing that we were saying coming into the series was that, okay, albeit I didn't realize the rest that Lodolo and Abbott were on, so obviously like neither of them could have started. You could have probably gotten 2, maybe 3 innings out of Lodolo, 2 innings out of Abbott, and then gone to your pen for the rest of the game. And then you do what you have to do in Game 3. You got a combined, I think, 14 pitches out of Lodolo and Abbott, which is kind of crazy. Absolutely insane when you think about it. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know. I mean, definitely some questionable decisions for both managers, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, some of these decisions don't matter when you get beat as bad as you do. I
Yeah,
mean,
and I mean at the same time, it's not fully on the manager that Nick Martinez, who albeit isn't that spectacular, comes in and he just can't pitch. Like they just hit
yeah.
everything when he came in. But yeah, not spectacular. And Dodgers offense was rolling. Mookie Betts looks so good this series. He was killing the Reds.
Oh my God, yeah, he
He was
was.
killing them.
I think the best player of the wild card round, like
He
for any team,
Oh yeah.
in terms
Oh,
of hitters.
easily. I think his on base percentage was like 700 through the two games. He looked really
Yeah,
good
700
he
exactly.
was really good in
372 WRC plus, which in 2 games doesn't mean much, but just a huge number
absolutely,
nonetheless.
yeah. He had 9 total bases over the two games. He looked really good in September too. Like so much better than the rest of the season, and he kept it up in these over these two games. Hopefully for him, he can keep it up against the Phillies and potentially for the Dodgers even longer than that. But oh my God, he was killing them. He was on
Yeah,
that. Otani had the home runs in game one as well. So did Teoscar. Man, no, the Dodgers lineup was just rolling. Like they were just killing the Reds. I don't even think they had a home run in the second game. They were hitting literally everything. But
yeah.
yeah, man, the Dodgers lineup was just rolling. Shout out to the Reds though. Like we said with the Guardians, it's really tough to make the playoffs. This is not a team I think anyone really thought would be here in the first place. I will not
Oh,
act like I thought they would be here, but you know what I
the
mean?
difference between them and the Guardians, though, is that the Reds are a younger team,
Yeah.
obviously, and that was a step, a huge step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
The Guardians have kind of been in this spot where they just consistently, can't make deep runs.
Or just
Obviously, they
kind
made
of
the
in there.
ALCS last year, but we know what happened.
Like they're always
They're
just
just
kind of
kind of
in
in the
there.
mix. Yes. Yeah. So the fact that, the Reds made the playoffs is just, I think that's a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, the ownership looks at that and spends now, but more because, they have the basis, the making of a good team.
Absolutely.
And
Knock on
obviously,
wood.
and they've waited so long for a team or for another playoff game, the fans, and it's just it sucks so bad that they finally get in again and they have to face the Dodgers.
Yeah. Like
That just hurts.
facing the Dodgers in a wild card round is so ridiculous. I was
Yeah,
just like, oh my God, man.
but look, I mean, it is what it is. You play who's in front of you, but definitely a step in the right direction. The rebuild is looking much better than it was. Maybe in the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely good thing to make the playoffs, get some experience, but
Absolutely,
stuff
man.
needs to change. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't expect to win that series, but you would hope a guy like Ellie, who's your superstar, would put up a bigger fight than he did.
Yeah.
You would hope, a
You would hope.
lot of other things happen in an ideal world, but first playoff, anything could happen in
and
the
and plus at the
postseason.
same
And
time it's only two games, right? Like we're not going to sit here and like rag and say that Ellie's this, he's Ellie's that. Like it's two games at the end of the day, and I'm like that, I know that people.
yeah,
I'm mostly saying this for the people who the people who will just go on about playoffs and this guy's playoff this, playoff that, and it's like for baseball especially, it's such a small sample and like you can barely judge people off playoffs. Like Mike Trout has like 3 playoff games under his belt. His team's ass, and I think he had 1 hit in that series. And it's like, what are you gonna say? Mike Trout's bad, but yeah, Ellie. Hopefully, if in any future playoff runs for the Reds, hopefully he's a little bit better than that. Um, yeah, man. If the Dodgers keep playing like this, by the way, that they're going to be ridiculous. Albeit they're going to face a lot better teams. They're going up against a much better rotation in the Phillies, and a much better lineup too.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I guess that's a pretty good segue. We'll start with that series next. Actually, I
Yeah.
guess Phillies Dodgers, man. That's probably going to be the primetime slot, right? I don't know what the actual schedule is, but I'd imagine. Actually,
Let me see.
I didn't see it because actually, I think they might. They probably did. They release it since the game ended.
They
no?
did.
Oh, they did.
So, it will be game 1, 6 o'clock Eastern, and then, Saturday is 6:38 Eastern, and then that's if New York. I don't know. Hold on.
Oh,
I don't know
okay,
what
never
I'm
mind. I found it. Okay, so, yeah, they're getting the 6:30 Eastern slot. Seattle
Yeah,
and Detroit get the 8:30. Toronto, New York gets 4 p.m. and then Cubs Brewers gets 2 p.m. Got it. Okay. So, you know what? We'll start with the Dodgers Phillies, I guess, just because that's what we were talking about. This is going to be a fucking series, man. These are some high-powered lineups. The Phillies offense hits fucking tanks.
Look, obviously it's not, you never know what's going to happen, but this is basically what my NLCS would have been. Like, if I got to kind of guess what it would be before the season, this is what it would have been.
Oh, absolutely, man. Like,
so I'm excited for sure.
There's some absolutely massive high-power hitters in both these lineups. Obviously, you have Schwarber and Ohtani. Those are the big ones. Those two combined for 111 home runs in the regular season, just between the two of them. And then, like, throughout the lineups, like, obviously you have Harper. On the Dodgers side, you have Freddie Freeman, right? Like, this is going to be such a fun series. Both teams, by the way, they're very similar teams, right? They're both very power-oriented offenses. They both have really strong starting rotations, but they kind of both have questionable bullpens too, right?
Yeah.
They're both very similar teams. And yeah, man, that's what's going to make this really interesting. It's going to be like, all right, who's better at this and this, right? Whose lineup is going to be able to put more runs up? Whose starting rotation is going to be able to limit just a little bit more, right? Obviously, the rotation you're probably going to end up seeing for the Phillies, it's probably going to end up being, what is it going to be? Probably Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, Jesus Luzardo, I'd imagine, something like that.
If I had to guess, yes. I don't think that you're going to start Nola or Buehler in that series.
Probably that's your three. Maybe someone goes, like your three. Someone goes short rest game 4, maybe, or maybe if they need to, they start like a Nola or something in game 4, or Buehler, or whatever. But just to have someone ready for game 5. But yeah, man, that's going to be a series. And then I think the Dodgers, I know they have Ohtani starting game 1, so he's going to make his playoff pitching debut. That's going to be cool. You probably have, Glasnow going game 2. Do you have Snell go game 3 and then Yamamoto game 4?
Yeah, I would imagine. Like, I would, that's what I'd probably do.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if you would start Kershaw, but I think on the rest, I think I would rather have the other guys, and then Ohtani's ready to go for a game 5. You can always bring Kershaw out in a relief outing if you really need to.
Yeah.
I think that also just speaks to how fucking ridiculous his rotation is. That we're talking about Clayton Kershaw just not starting in a playoff series.
Yeah, I just need the
and he's still like really good. Like their rotation is just that good because you're just not gonna run a 5-man in the playoffs. Like it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, man, this is gonna be a fun series. What I'm looking at, right? The Philly, like I lean Philly. Like obviously we both have literally the exact same NL predictions, and I'm gonna assume that yours haven't changed. Mine haven't either.
No, I'm sticking to what I said.
The Phillies bullpen has been a lot better as of late. They're 11th in ERA since the trade deadline, but they're also 11th in home runs per 9. They allow a decent amount of home runs, and that might be kind of interesting. And like since the deadline, both of these teams' rotations, they're in the top 3 best in preventing home runs. So it might be one of those things where someone's going to have to connect off a reliever, or it's going to be like which bullpen can just hold on a little bit longer, right? Because neither of these rotations are very home run heavy. The Dodgers rotation, by the way, since the deadline, their home runs per 9 is 0.66. That's ridiculous. That's insane. The rotation ERA is 2.73. Philly's rotation in that time span is 3.76. So that's going to be a fun one to really see how this plays out.
I mean, if it comes down to the bullpen, whose bullpen are you taking?
Probably the Phillies. The Phillies by a little bit. The Dodgers bullpen, I mean, at the very okay. Number one, the Phillies bullpen's just been better the last 2 months of the season. They have a guy like Duran that I can trust in. They have a few other guys that I just find more trustworthy, like a Mastrom or whoever else. I just really don't trust the Dodgers bullpen. If it came down to whose bullpen was better, I'd pick the Phillies easy. Not super great. It'd be even better if they had Jose Alvarado pitching, but he's not eligible to
Yeah,
pitch
that's
the postseason.
unfortunate.
And
That's very
I
unfortunate.
think he's injured anyways, even if he was eligible to pitch. Um, but yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's gonna be a fun one. That's gonna be a fun one though. It's gonna be interesting to see if the Dodgers' offense can really keep going against the Phillies' rotation. Like we said, they're really good. They were pounding the Reds in the series. I think they scored 18 runs over the 2 games. You're not gonna face. You're not gonna have it quite as easy against the Phillies. Not to say that someone like Hunter Green isn't really good, but you're facing Christopher Sanchez, who's a whole different beast. And you're also not going to face anyone on the level of Zach Littell. Zach Littell is not, with all due respect, he's not on the level of any of these Phillies pitchers that you're probably going to see starting the series. Suarez, Sanchez, Luzardo, he's not on their level, respectfully.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. Also, all 3 are lefties. Another really interesting thing to think about. How the Dodgers are going to construct their thing. Are they just going to stack it with righties? Maybe not a bad idea.
I mean, it's kind of. I mean,
hard to say no.
You know, you're so limited though when your 2 best hitters are lefty as well.
That too.
It's not like you're gonna take out Shohei or Freddie. But I mean, I guess.
Okay, you know what I meant. I meant like the.
No, I know what you meant. Like, yeah, I could see Muncy potentially not getting many at bats. Like, I don't think he's really gonna start any of the games.
Or maybe like hitting lower in the order. Maybe someone like him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if he's the type of guy. I'm just trying to think of how they would play. Like, I don't know what his splits are. I'll look at them really quick against what they are against lefties. Against what they were for the season, I guess. I'm not sure if he's someone that they would sit against lefties.
I'm looking at Alex Call. His WRC plus is 113 versus lefties and versus righties, which is actually pretty fun.
That is a matchup you definitely want to have. Muncy, by the way, like for anyone thinking that I'm saying he's really good against lefties, I know he's not. His WRC plus is 59. I'm just trying to think if I think Dave Roberts would not start him in a couple of these games, or maybe bat him even like 8th or 7th or something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in the brain there, but we'll see. But yeah, that's an interesting one. You got
Miguel Rojas? Oh no, I'm starting Miguel Rojas. 143 WRC plus versus lefties.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Again, this is the playoffs. You have to take every single tiny advantage that you can get. You got to ride hot hands. You got to do all those things. If I keep sticking with a guy who's slumping and he keeps slumping, it might be the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to ride hot hands. You got to get every single tiny advantage because those are the type of things 100%. That can put you over the top and can win you like a very, very close series because you got yourself that tiny little advantage. Even if it doesn't work out, giving yourself that better chance to win, like what we were talking about with the Yankees-Red Sox matchup, when you give yourself even the better chance to win, it can change everything. Even if it doesn't work out, right? You got to take the chance. At the end of the day, it's really just... At the end of the day, it's just gambling. But yeah, that'll be an interesting thing. You don't really have the same thing with the Phillies, I don't think, because you have like righties, lefties, and stuff like that. I don't really think that they're gonna change their lineups too much. The Dodgers, I probably see them doing it more. Also, another thing is Will Smith. Will Smith, man, he is not playing. He was on the wild card roster, but he didn't get any ABs. He has the hand injury. He hasn't played since September 9th.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still recovering from his hand fracture.
Uh-huh. And I'm pretty sure I remember them saying on the broadcast, I think they were saying he maybe might have been good to pinch hit. I can't remember. I think they said it in game 1.
Personally,
but,
I don't think that he
But do you want to do it?
I put it this way, Ben Warfit was very good that series. He hit 500. He did his job, and I don't think you're in a rush there. It's against the Cincinnati Reds, who the Dodgers should handily beat with or without Will Smith, and they did win without him.
Yeah.
I think that Warfit's very good defensively, so that's another thing why, like, at least he's good enough defensively to carry the load. I think that it's one of those things you don't rush. Now that it's against the Phillies and that's the next round, that's when you maybe want to say, all right, if you're playing, you're starting. We're not, you know what I mean? You don't. I like what you said about riding the hot hand, but there's exceptions. You're not starting a healthy Will Smith over Wortfit, or Wortfit over a healthy Will Smith, I should say.
Yeah, no.
So we'll obviously see what happens there. If he's good to go, I would definitely expect him to start game one. But...
Yeah, him not going against the Red Sox again. It could have been just like, you know what? It's like we have the advantage, whatever it is. We'll take the shot. We'll just take the shot and we'll just rest him. I don't really know if you want to do that in a playoff game, regardless of who you're facing. But that's why I kind of think it may be like emergency only.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hand injury, right? That could definitely mess up your entire swing. So he might not have just been ready, whatever it is, and now he is ready. And like, they want him to get into a rhythm. They don't want to just put him out there for a singular at bat. They want to give him, 4 in a game or 3 in a game.
Absolutely, you don't want to
go
and hang him out there.
And why waste a substitution when you don't need to, right? Yeah. So I definitely think that him being on the roster is enough to say like he'll be fine for the NLDS. But I don't hate resting him when the team was doing very well.
Yeah.
And if he could have pinch hit when if he was able to pinch hit, there wasn't a situation which he would have had to, so we don't even know.
The other thing is, though, again, leaving him on the roster probably does single a little bit of good things because you can't pinch hit him. You can't just have him DH because, that's Shohei Ohtani's spot. So if he were to go back out there...
Unless Shohei the outfield like we talked about. But obviously, that would be funny to just randomly do in the postseason.
Did someone predict that? I don't know.
I think so.
Someone say that might happen? Yeah, especially.
But no, I agree.
It was his right hand too. So like, if he came in to pinch it for, I
mean, that's his throwing hand too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He would have to go behind the plate and he'd have to throw the ball, right?
So definitely, you don't want him to come in like with a injured hand. Still, you want to wait till he's healthy. And like I said, with how good this team is, you don't really need. You didn't really need him in that series. Obviously, you can't just assume that, but with how deep this team is, with Mookie playing like Mookie bats, with Shohei, Freeman, playoff Teoscar Hernandez, playoff Enrique Hernandez. You could get away with having, maybe not the best offensive catcher, but he still performed incredibly offensively in those 2 games.
He was he was swinging over the weekend, I'm pretty sure, but he hasn't faced live pitching since he actually fractured his hand. The other thing too is I'm pretty sure they were carrying I think 3 catchers on that roster. So I'm wondering if maybe they were preparing for a situation where they were gonna have Will Smith come in and pinch hit and then take him out and then put the other catcher in. I wonder.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think we're about good to move on. Which series you want to cover next?
I think we can stay in the NL. Let's go Cubs versus Brewers.
Not Padres. We got it right.
Padres, yeah.
We got it right on the bracket.
We did 4 for 4.
4 for 4.
Look at us.
Perfect bracket so far. We'll see how long that lasts. Or maybe one of us gets a perfect bracket. Not both of us, because one of us.
Unfortunately, it's not March Madness, and we're not going to get the millions of dollars worth of prizes.
Unfortunately, not. Unless Rob Manfred is listening and he wants to give us, compensation financially, then I would gladly take.
Yeah, want to hear something funny?
What?
A couple of years ago, there's the NHL bracket challenge, right?
Uh-huh.
And they used to do it where, like, if the top 50, they all get prizes, whether it's like, NHL shop gift cards, All-Star game, playoffs, whatever. And they got cheap, and now they made it so only number 1 gets it. A couple of years ago, I got a perfect bracket, and it was like 7th in the world or something. Didn't get any prize. But I did win a free jersey from like a streamer's pool who I entered. But pretty crazy how even a perfect bracket doesn't get you any reward.
Wait. What do you mean it was 7th in the world? Wait, what does that mean? Like you were the 7th.
Like 7th in the world, like the 7th best, in terms of points because of like the tiebreakers.
Oh, fuck off, bro.
And I didn't win anything from the NHL.
Fuck off, bro. That's annoying. I'd be cheese, man.
But I got a jersey, obviously. winning somehow. So
Hey,
I
we
didn't
take
go
that.
empty-handed, but no one could ever take away the perfect bracket from me. So.
We take that, bro. We take that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long our
And now,
perfect
now
brackets
I'm just
last.
realizing that I didn't actually submit an MLB bracket anywhere other than the one we did.
I don't think I actually submitted them when we did them either. I think I just like kind of posted them.
But there's proof. There's evidence.
There is evidence. There is we have the brackets and the dates that they were
Yeah,
made.
and if you don't believe it, you can just listen to the previous episode back.
Or you can go on our Twitter or our Instagram. Both of them.
Yeah, make sure you follow that.
They're both on there too. Follow the spots. Anyways,
shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Anyways, Cubs, Brewers. This is another interesting series. I think a lot of people, we said this on the last episode. A lot of people are just going to count the Brewers out because they don't have star power. I picked the Cubs over them. That just has more to do with the fact that I think the Cubs are just really good, and they have a lot of things that I think translate very well to the postseason, as opposed to I think the Brewers are frauds. They are not frauds. That's a really good team, and I would not be surprised if they went past this round and even to the World Series even. The Brewers, man, this is a team that literally just is the power. This is the power of friendship right here.
Yeah.
This is absolutely the power of friendship. They had one of the best pitching staffs in baseball all year, one of the best rotations. They had the third best rotation ERA all season. They had a pretty solid bullpen too. They were sixth in bullpen ERA, so their pitching just overall is elite. Overall for the season, their entire pitching staff was second in ERA, the best ERA, by the way, of any playoff team. Just a little bit better than the Padres and the Guardians. .05 ERA better than the Padres, .11 better than the Guardians. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how their pitching stacks up against the Cubs' high-power offense. And then on the other side, it's not like the Brewers' offense is bad either. They were 9th in WRC+. Again, they're not like a super crazy power-hitting team, but they were third in runs scored. And a big part of that is because they get on base a lot. They were tied for second in on-base percentage. They were tied with the Yankees, just a hair behind the Jays. They do it. They get on base a lot. And that's kind of an interesting thing. It's going to be interesting to see... again, the Cubs rotation, the Cubs pitching staff as a whole, like I was saying, like Imanaga has a big home run problem, their bullpen too. It's going to be interesting to see how the Brewers offense fares against that pitching staff, because this team was 22nd in home runs, but they were still really high in runs scored. This Cubs squad, again, they have a little bit of a home run thing. They hit a lot of home runs on the offensive side, but they give up a decent amount on the pitching side too. So it's going to be interesting if they're going to get beat the Brewers' way, or if the Brewers are just all of a sudden going to turn into like sluggers against the Cubs, because it very well might happen.
Yeah. I think this is a fun thing to know, like not necessarily fun, but important to note. The bottom 4 teams in barrel percentage in the regular season. The Padres, 27, eliminated.
Guardians are 30.
The Reds, 28, eliminated. The Guardians, 30th, eliminated. Yep. And the Brewers at 29 in the middle of all that.
Yep.
And that's what I'm noticing. I mean, this is a team that has pitchers that give up a lot of barrels versus a team that just doesn't get many barrels.
It's gonna be interesting.
It's an interesting dynamic there, obviously, and
because what we looked at as well, right? A team that doesn't get many barrels. This is not the Padres squad, by the way. This team gets on base a lot more than San Diego. The Brewers have the 6th highest walk rate in the league versus, I think San Diego's a good bit lower than them. They're 15th, right? Obviously, this Brewers squad, they do not strike out. They put a lot of balls in play. But here's the thing, so do the Padres. Do you remember what I said in our preview episode for the playoffs?
What did you say again? One particular?
Specifically talking about the Padres-Cubs matchup, was that if you're hitting a lot of very weak ground balls, weak pop-ups, weak flyouts, whatever it is, especially against a defense as good as the Cubs, you're essentially just feeding their defense. You know what I
Oh, I
mean?
mean, Dansby Swanson was just unbelievable
Absolutely.
today.
Their whole defense is elite, man.
But
Matt
yeah, there was
Shaw.
just like 3 or 4 plays that Dansby alone made.
Oh
That's
yeah.
like, oh my god.
Oh yeah. Like yeah, he was fantastic in that last series. Their whole defense as a whole is really great. PCA is obviously probably going to win a Gold Glove. He's going to be in Platinum Glove convos. Dansby Swanson, Nico Horner is ridiculous up the middle. Matt Shaw's a really good defensive player as well. Ian Happ too. Like they got it, man. They got it. And that's one thing that worries me a little bit about the Brewers is that they make a lot of really weak contact, and against the Cubs defense, that's not going to fare quite as great. It didn't fare that well for Cleveland against a subpar defense. And it did not fare well for the Padres either, right? Outside of their home runs, they almost did not score the entire series. In fact, hold on. Let me go back and double check something really quick. I'm pretty sure they had 2 runs the whole series that didn't come off of homers. The Padres.
It's just, again, it
Yeah,
just goes to show how important home runs are in this time of season. So if this isn't proof, I don't know what is.
absolutely. Now, with that being said, it's not like the Brewers have bad hitters. Again, this is a team, they get on base a ridiculous ton. If they just string one little rally together in the 3rd inning and they score 2, that with their pitching staff, that might be enough to hold the game. It's kind of the same thing we said as the Padres. I just think that this team is just a little bit better, right? The rotation's a lot better. Their offense, I think, is a little bit more reliable, even if it doesn't have the star power of the Padres. But with that being said, though, the Cubs lineup, as we know, this is a really good slugging team. They were one of the best home run hitting teams all season. I think they were 6th. They were 6th with 223 home runs. Only teams that hit more were the Yankees, Dodgers, Mariners, Angels, and Mets. As I'm saying that out loud, I think it's really funny the Angels and Mets are right there.
Yeah.
But we saw the Cubs. They were slugging a little bit in that series right there, and if they're able to keep slugging against the Brewers pitchers, they might be they're going to put themselves in a really good position because a lot of those very weak hit balls, it's not going to result in a bunch of plays where the Cubs defense looks stupid. This is not a defense that looks stupid very often. This is
no, and one thing that we talked about needing to happen for the Cubs is to have their big guys show up.
Mm-hmm.
And what we saw was PCA, obviously the first 2 games of the series, or the first 2 games of the series, didn't get a hit. 3 for 4 with an RBI in the biggest game of the series.
Yep.
Kyle Tucker, again, same thing. He just, didn't get a hit. It was, or he might have gotten like 1 hit or something in the first 2 games. And what does he do today? He gets 2 hits and he scores a run.
Yep.
It's just, you know what I mean? We're seeing it in the big games. If they get pieced together, you can't just wait for it to happen in the last game of the season or the series, especially against the Brewers. You got to make it happen ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that's just, a step in the right direction, getting hot, and they can carry that momentum into game 1 rather than having to take a couple games for them to really click, because they had their role players, do their job. I mean, I'm not going to say Suzuki's a role player on this team, but he came up big. Carson Kelly came up big.
To be fair,
Nico Horner was good.
To be fair with Seiya, he was one of their best hitters in the first half of the season. There was a very strong case that he should have been an all-star, and he was one of the guys in... Again, it wasn't just him. Like, it was PCA, it was Carson Kelly too. It was a lot of their guys that were killing the game in the first half, and they just were not doing it to the same extent in the second half. And then a lot of them, like, for example, Michael Busch was one of those guys who took a big dip for a lot of the second half. He looked so good this series. He looked so good. Seiya was pounding the ball. Seiya was hitting everything, it felt like. He played amazing. Nico Horner obviously was hitting the ball really well too, but
I mean, he almost hit one out.
He almost did. It felt like he was just hitting everything, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, and obviously almost isn't something you use, but when it's a guy who,
isn't really a power guy.
Has an ISO that begins with a 0, it's impressive.
Yeah. His His home runs are in the single digits, so it's something you look at every now and again. Like, there's probably more dollars in my wallet than he has home runs in the season.
Yeah.
Maybe $8 in there. But yeah, this is also not a team, the Brewers I'm talking about, where you can, work the hell out of their starter and say, oh yeah, we're into the bullpen, now we got it easier. Because their bullpen's elite. Their bullpen's crazy. Like,
yeah,
you're not getting off easy just because you got the starter out of the game in the 5th inning or 4th inning or something like that. Because their bullpen
they're not going to make it easy.
Their bullpen might do what the Padres bullpen did in Game 2 and just absolutely slice you up.
They still kind of got around it, you know what I mean? They didn't let it, like, again, this is the Brewers are not the Padres, but you start off strong, get some runs in the first couple innings, which obviously is a tall order. It's not like, something that's just easy it's done. But obviously, if you can score earlier before it gets too crazy with guys like Uribe or McGill or Ashby come in. I mean, obviously, again, if you're facing some of the guys they have in the rotation, they're already very good. You want to make it as easy as possible. Get to them early, get them out of the game, and hopefully by the time that you're there with their bullpen, when they're pumping out their guys, you already have the lead, and your bullpen can just do just enough to hold on.
Can hold on, yeah. Yeah, that's really what that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be, this sounds very basic to say, but it's going to be the Cubs offense versus the Brewers pitching. But like, ultimately, I think that's what it's going to come down to. The Cubs are going to be able to get some runs off this pitching and then hold off the Brewers' defense or offense, which I think they're very capable of doing, just because the way that the Brewers' offense is versus how it matches up against the Cubs' pitching and defense. I think they have a very decent chance to hold off that offense. It's a matter of if they're going to be able to hit them too, because there's a very good chance that, again, the Brewers have a really good pitching staff. There's a very good chance that they're able to really just have the Cubs' number, and then the Brewers are able to just, one rally could be enough with their pitching staff. So, it could be one of those things too. All right. I think we're done with this series. You pick which AL series we want to start off with.
Seattle, Detroit.
All right. Big thing to talk about. First off, who's starting Game 1 for Detroit? Who starts Game 1? Because Reese Olson's injured. You're not starting Flaherty or Mize. Or low-key, actually, do you think they could start Mize? No.
I don't think so.
Wait a second. Hold on, let me... Okay, you know what? I actually don't think starting... Actually, wait, no, never mind. It's 2 days rest. Never mind, I didn't realize the way the dates matched up. Yeah, no. You're not starting him in game 1. I don't know who they're going to start in game 1. I'll see if they announce a starter, because I didn't see anything.
They haven't yet. I mean, Keter Montero didn't pitch despite being on the roster in the wild card series, and he started the game against the Red Sox on the Saturday where the Tigers clinched.
So you might be looking at him for a game 1, because obviously you're not...
Troy Melton got some starts down the stretch at the end of the season.
I think he had
one of those.
Didn't he have a relief outing against the Guardians? Yeah, he pitched in game 2 against the Guardians. So I don't.
Yeah, so if you go Melton, you're going with a bullpen game. Probably Montero then, I'd say. But no matter who you're throwing out there, it's safe to say you're gonna not have you don't going in. You don't have the advantage.
You do not have the game 1 advantage. For sure. Seattle's definitely gonna have the advantage going to game 1 because they're probably gonna start. I mean, regardless.
Brian Wu,
probably. Even if they start like Gilbert or Castillo, they definitely have the pitching advantage there. Their lineup is obviously a lot better. Also, really quick, actually, I kind of forgot about this. What do you think about them pinch hitting Riley Green in that one at bat? I kind of forgot to mention earlier.
I mean,
because it's an interesting thing.
I don't know, like the matchups, obviously there.
But it's an interesting thing. But yeah, they put in Jahmai Jones. Jahmai Jones is a big time lefty hitter, by the way, or like against lefties. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing. That's kind of
I mean,
forgot to talk
obviously it
about.
didn't work out, but yeah, I mean, it's
Is
one
what
of
it is.
those things where you're struggling to get offense going. I mean, the whole team, not just him, because Riley
Mm-hmm.
Green obviously being one of their best hitters the entire season. Um, like obviously you can give him the at bat, Riley Green, but if you need something to change, why not? I don't know if he was the right guy, considering you could have there were other guys you could have definitely taken out,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I mean, I personally think that, you said Jones is very good against lefties, right?
Yeah. He's yeah.
So,
If I remember looking at his splits right, he's really good against lefties.
yeah, one of those things
It is what
where
it is.
you need to get offense
Mm-hmm.
going. Why not?
Yeah.
And obviously, it didn't hurt them. They ended up taking the next game anyway. So,
Yeah. So it ends up being one of those things. It is what it is.
yeah,
But yeah, back to this matchup. This is going to be an interesting thing. Because again, a lot of people, by the way, are predicting the Mariners to come out of the AL. We are,
yeah,
and obviously this is not very, not a crazy thing. I predicted them. I think you had the Yankees on your bracket, but you still have the
I
Mariners
did.
going
Yes,
ALCS. Even because this Mariners team
yes.
is genuinely ridiculous. I don't care if they only won like 92 games or whatever they won or 90. This team is nuts. This team is absolutely insane. Their lineup is really good. Their rotation is good as well. They got it, man. This would be like such a spooky team to face. Like, even their pen is good. They do everything so well. It's gonna be a matter of if when the Tigers get to games like 2 and 3 and they're starting their top starters, it's gonna be a matter of if they can just hold off the Mariners offense while they're in, and
I
that
mean,
could be the difference.
the term that you use is like the saying is that the theoretical version of their team is like so much better than the actual team, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And I agree. I mean, a guy that I'm looking at right now that needs to have a good series if this team wants to win is Suarez,
Yep.
because he is a very streaky hitter at
He
times.
is.
There are times where he'll hit home runs in like 4 straight games, and then there'll be games where you saw earlier in the month of September, he went like 8 straight games without a hit. And this was against like the Angels and the Cardinals. This isn't against like, you know what I mean, the front of the line, elite starters or pitchers or teams or
Mm-hmm.
anything. These are kind of nothing games. I don't want to say nothing in the middle of a playoff race, but nothing is in. It's not like a premier opponent
Mm-hmm.
going like 8 straight games without a hit, and he ended the season without getting a single hit against the Dodgers, who were a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, what version are you getting? Are you getting the guy that can mash 2 or 3 home runs literally any given night, or are you getting the guy who can't get on base for a couple games in a row? It depends which version of him shows up. If we're getting the like the hot version or the inconsistent version where he's very streaky, and hopefully for the Mariners' sake, they get the version that they traded for, why they traded for.
Yeah, and to speak to that just a little bit more, like when they first got him, he had a really rough start in his little tenure there, and then he picked it up, and he was like the next few weeks after that, it was like, oh, never mind, he's back. He just
Yeah,
had a rough
I
start
mean he hit
again.
1 home run in his first like 12 games or so.
Yeah, and then after that, he just got going again, and he was Suarez we all know and love, and then he got cold again, and it's like, all right, what happened? What happened? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
Basically, to say yes, he is a very, very streaky hitter. Hopefully, for the sake of the Mariners, they get the good streak. That would be very good. Um, but yeah, I think legitimately what the difference is going to be in the series, it's going to be whether or not when the Tigers get to a game 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, that their top guys, Skubal, Mize, are going to be able to hold off that Mariners offense, because I do think that while the Mariners rotation is really good, and I think their bullpen is good too, I think that even if the Tigers are going to be able to muster up a little bit of runs there, they're going to need to hold off that offense, because that offense is ridiculous. Much like a lot of other really, really good teams in the playoffs, they mash the shit out of the ball. They were third in home runs this season, barely behind the Dodgers. They hit 6 fewer home runs than the Dodgers, and obviously the Yankees hit like almost 280, so they're a good bit behind them. But they hit more home runs than almost every single other team in baseball. They hit more home runs than the Cubs, than the Phillies, than the Tigers. Like, everyone almost.
Yeah.
So if they're able to keep the ball in the yard a little bit, they got to be able to keep the ball in the yard. If they're able to induce maybe some ground balls out of some of these guys, then they should have a little bit more success. I will say though that this Mariners team they can be kind of a pest on the base pass, and they can be really aggressive. We saw how much more Josh Naylor just steals bases with them. Now, overall, they are not like a spectacular base running team, even if they are, even if they steal more bases. It's not like they're an overall spectacular base running team. Like BSR, they are. Where do they rank? They rank 19th in the league. They're actually a negative, according to that. And even if you go to Statcast, base running runs, they are. What the hell are they? Am I blind? Can I not see the one here? They're 26th. So overall, they are not a great base running team because they kind of lose themselves runs. There. One thing too is that like they don't really advance on like other balls that are hit very often. Like for example, one thing that makes the Brewers so good is they get on base and they're an elite base running team, right? They are going to take that extra base on a single, on a double, right? It's not just the stolen bases. The Mariners are dead bottom of that. The Mariners, they steal actually like a decent amount of bases compared to some other teams. But they are not going to be the team that advances on that single or double. You know, you can
and the Tigers are a team who've done that decently well. They're obviously, you know, in the top 10 in that category. So that's definitely something to look out for. I mean, when it comes to the little things, as I guess people like to say, the Tigers might have them beat there.
Yeah, it's something that Tigers do definitely a lot better. Tigers by Statcast base running measuring, they're tied for 7th in baseball in base running runs. And most of the teams above them are playoff teams. There's the Red Sox, there's the Cubs, there's the Diamondbacks. I mean, actually, there's a few non-playoff teams here. The Mets I didn't realize the Mets were such a good base running team this year. But yeah, that's just going to be a thing. Like the Tigers are a much better base running team. Obviously, they have the best pitcher in the series. Like that's not a debate. Probably the best player, honestly, Scooble.
Yeah, I would say so.
If you
but
lose,
the thing is, that's a guy, you know, could only go every couple days. Whereas
that's one game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so
one game.
That is the disadvantage of your best player being a pitcher, is that you don't have your number one guy playing every day, whereas the Mariners do in Cal Raleigh.
The other thing though is that it's not like the Tigers. Like I know I'm talking about like their front end starters and their base running and all this. It's not like they're a bad offensive team though. Like they are still an above average offense too. They were 12th in WRC plus. They're 10th in home runs. They can hit the ball out of the yard too. Not as much as the Mariners, but given the Mariners rotation is still really good, but it's at times been a little bit questionable. Maybe here and there you might run into a few here and there, right? And then if your rotation is able to keep the Mariners in the ballpark, honestly, they might run themselves into a few outs here or there. You might have yourself a little something. You might have yourself a little something here. Yeah, the Tigers and Mariners rotations are pretty like mid-tier in terms of like allowing home runs, so it's just gonna have to come down. I mean, obviously it does come down in these few games. It's just gonna be, I think that's really gonna be what the difference is. Who's able to keep the other team in the yard more? Like, can the Tigers pitching just keep Seattle in the ballpark? Because I think if they can, then they have a really, really decent shot at winning the series. And if the Mariners are able to keep the Tigers in the ballpark and they're able to leave the ballpark themselves, as they have done all season, then obviously they're in a much better position to win the series. That sounds like a big cop-out when you think about it, because it's like, yeah, this team can be good and make the other team not be good, and they win. But honestly, that's like that's like some of their biggest strengths, both of these teams. Do we want to talk about the last series in the AL, or do you have anything else to say for Tigers Mariners?
This is one I've been nervous about since before the opponent was even announced.
This is a series, man. Jays Yankees. We've gotten this divisional matchup a bunch of times this season.
Twitter's gonna be a war zone for the next.
We will be there. We will be there. These teams are tied for the best record in the AL. Both teams won 94 games. Twitter, like you said, Twitter's going to be a war zone. The Twitters were going back and forth. The people on Twitter, they're saying this and that. There was there was one Yankees fan who was like, "Man, if we get past the Red Sox, we got the World Series." And someone's like, "What? You got the Jays up next?" And then he's like, "Yo, the Jays are the easiest matchup. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I don't know about all that." But both these teams are ridiculous. Both these teams are very, very good. Both teams have a very good offense, but for kind of different reasons. The Yankees, obviously, you know what they do best, Ethan. Tell me what they do best.
They mash the hell out of the baseball.
They flex the muscles. They take their trots around the bases. A league-leading 274 home runs. And that's a lot more than just Aaron Judge, by the way. That's Jazz Chisholm. That's Giancarlo Stanton. That's Ben Rice. That's all of these guys.
Yeah. And the difference between them and the second most, the team with the second most amount of home runs is the same difference as number 2 to number 8.
Yeah. That's just how good this team is at just hitting home runs. Like, you're talking about a guy like Austin Wells is, like, on the lower end of your, like, offense, like, in your lineup.
Yeah.
Cody Bellinger, too. I can't believe I didn't name him. He almost hit 30 home runs this year, too. Yeah, this team absolutely matches. Trent Grisham, too.
Stanton, obviously, 24 in such a shortened season for him. And, I mean,
I don't even think he
off
played
the
80
bench,
games.
off the bench, I mean, a guy like Jason Dominguez can hit a home run from time to time. A guy like Goldschmidt also can. They definitely have a lot of guys who can hit home runs.
Absolutely. And as we know, in the postseason, if you can mash that ball out of the yard, you are going to win a lot of the time. So far in the wildcard round, assuming I kept tally correctly, the only time in this wildcard round where a team hit more home runs than their opponent and did not win was the Yankees in Game 1 against the Red Sox.
Yeah, and also something crazy is this Yankees win marks the first time since the permanent wildcard series was introduced in 2022 that a team who lost the first game won this series.
That was the thing that they were talking about in a lot of the broadcasts.
Yeah.
Was the team that has won Game 1, and albeit it's only been, before this one, 3 postseasons, has won every single wildcard series. Every single one. And this is the only one, I think, where the Game 1 winner lost, I'm pretty sure. Detroit, Chicago. Yeah. Okay, this is the only one so far. So far, the Red Sox, you stand alone as the only Game 1 winner to lose a series. How does that feel? But yeah, man. As for this matchup, on the position player stuff, like, again, this is a really nerve-wracking matchup for us. I'm not even gonna lie, because the Yankees, they mash home runs, and our rotation, our pitching staff as a whole, kind of has a bit of a home run problem.
Yeah.
It's not too great. Toronto's pitching staff as a whole, only 5 teams have allowed more home runs per 9 innings than them. Those teams are the Nationals, the Orioles, the Athletics, the Angels, and the Rockies. They are the... Sorry.
Here's my thought process, though, is like what I'm seeing is that's the rotation as a whole, right? Some of the guys that are, produce these numbers aren't going to be pitching. When you're 1, 2, 3 as Gossman, Bieber, Savage obviously looking good in his limited starts in his 14-ish innings. That's a good 1, 2, 3.
You know what? That's true.
That's better than what any stats will show you from looking at the rotation as a whole. Because you're not having a guy like Scherzer who has been, very bad recently in that mix. And then if for, your number 4 starter could be a guy like Eric Lauer who's proved all season that he can do the job.
Also, like, if you're starting Gausman in Game 1 or Game 2, he is, like, notoriously, he just, like, does not allow homers. Sub 1 home runs per 9 this season, 0.98. That's including, like, the start of the season when he wasn't all that great.
And this isn't a new thing. I mean, this has been consistent
Mm-hmm.
ever since he got to the Blue Jays.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, it's just like kind of a thing. Since the deadline, like we'll look at some of their starters that we're probably going to project to start in a series for them. Um, Here, let me just get the filter up. Like you're probably looking at like Gosman, Bieber, game 1-2. Bieber has kind of allowed a decent amount of home runs since he's come back from his injury. For Toronto's sake, you're kind of hoping that goes down because if someone like him is getting barreled a lot, especially against this Yankees lineup, it's not gonna fare very well.
Yeah.
And like even just as a whole, like his big thing since he's come back is he's been really good at limiting free passes. He's got a lot of ground balls, but he's also gotten barreled a lot, and that's why, despite poor home run numbers, he still has like a good ERA and stuff like that, right? Who do you start, Ethan? Tell me, who are you starting if you're starting, or if you have to, you got to pick someone for game 3. Who are you starting?
So personally, I'm going Trey Savage.
Because
implying that 1 and 2 is Gossman and Bieber. Obviously,
yes,
Savage. I go game 3.
That's probably who you're looking at there.
Biggest game of the season, biggest game of his life, is basically to whether or not we're gonna win the division, right?
Mm-hmm.
He came in and he absolutely shoved. He loved everything about it. He loved the moment. He loved the atmosphere. He just absolutely loved it. I think he might be ready.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one way to find out.
You're probably looking at a rotation of like Gosman, Bieber, Savage, and probably a Bassett in game 4.
However, hear me out. Would you consider going Savage game 2?
So he's not in Yankee Stadium.
Get him the home crowd. Don't let his first time at Yankee Stadium be in the postseason, because obviously you don't want to being on the road is hard. But look at the other teams that are still in it where he could pitch in. For example, Seattle hypothetically in an ALCS, or Detroit. Playing in Detroit, playing in Seattle, completely different animal than playing at Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you could if you give him game 2 at home, you say Bieber for 3. And then you could go from there for what you do for game 4.
Mm-hmm.
If you're up, let's say 2-1 in the series, you could go Lauer, or you could even kind of do what you did with Louis Varland, where he got the start and he was very good that start. When they kind of and then go towards Lauer.
I know that
that's a possibility.
I know that he's been very bad on the road this season, but do you give Bassett a game 4? He's available during the LDS, by the way. I know.
Yeah, I think it's completely dependent. If your back's against the wall, and you are you need a win. I don't know if a bullpen game is necessarily the smartest thing,
mm-hmm.
especially when you want to keep your bullpen fresh. Next game if you win that. But yeah, I mean, I think if you go Gossman 1, Savage 2, let's say you split 1-1 going to Yankee Stadium, give Bieber game 3, you can give Bassett game 4, short leash. If he gives up some hard contact early, he's not looking great, then you could go to Lauer or Varland or something like that.
Yeah, because that's the thing I'm thinking about is I'm trying to if you are any team going against the Yankees especially, or really any home run hitting team, I'm thinking, but in this case is the Yankees. I'm thinking, how can you possibly limit the Yankees home runs? And obviously the best way to do that is throw pitchers out there who don't allow homers, right? Gosman's home runs since the trade deadline, Gosman's home run per 9 is 0.77. Chris Bassett 0.76. Trey Savage, albeit it was only 14 innings over 3 starts, did not allow a single home run. So already you're looking pretty good there. The only one that's kind of concerning is Shane Bieber. I don't think Jose Barrios is going to be pitching the series. His injury is probably going to keep him out. And honestly, hot take.
Probably not the guy I'd want.
Hot take. I don't know if I'd want him on the series anyways. Hot take. I don't think I'd actually want him on a playoff roster anyways.
Yeah.
TBH. Yeah, that's probably what you're looking at in terms of a rotation. For the Yankees, I think they said Heal's starting game 1. I think. I heard that somewhere. I don't actually have a source for that, so I might be spreading misinformation. But you're probably looking at what Heel game 1. You're probably looking at Max Fried game 2, Rodon game 3, Schlittler game 4, and then Fried for game 5. Right? That's probably how it lines
Yeah,
up
I
for
would
the
imagine.
Yankees,
Yeah.
which is probably your best rotation you're putting out there. The only thing for the Yankees that Heel has been a little bit shaky since he's come back. That's kind of the only thing.
Yeah.
Since he's come back, he's had a big He's had a big problem with walking a lot of guys. His walks per nine since the deadline's over 5. It's 5.21.
Yeah. I mean, injuries are really going to be a big part of this. I mean, Toronto's without one of their best players over the season, Bo Bichette. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Do you think he's going to even play in the series at all?
Did you see the Vlad quote?
What was the Vlad quote?
The Vlad quote. It was the one I said. It was like, bro, he was talking about Bichette.
Oh,
like
that one.
dead.
Yeah, when he was like, then he was like, yeah.
Yeah, we miss him. We know he's blah blah blah. And it's like, bro, what the hell?
Yeah,
That's
the thing.
He has a
I mean, look,
funny.
Obviously it'd be great for him to play, but I don't.
Apparently, he's unlikely to play. Which, if he did somehow come back, I'm gonna run some scenarios by you, and you're gonna tell me which one you'd pick. Do you DH him? Do you put him at second base and leave Andres Jimenez at short? Which, hot take, I think they should have done that anyways when they were both healthy.
I agree.
But
I agree.
do you do that to kind of limit how much he's gonna have to move? Or do you only have him available in like a pinch hitting role?
I mean, I think it's similar to the Will Smith thing. First of all, it depends on how the series is going. If you're in a situation where, well, I don't know, like you don't really want to put him in cold. That's the thing. You don't want to kind of, and it's not like there's rehab games he can be playing in.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
So it's just, I don't know. I mean, if there's a chance that he can start any of the games, I'd say yes. But like, I don't even know if you put him on the roster if you know as a fact he can't play, that he's not going to start a game.
Mm-hmm. I don't know when they're gonna announce the ALDS rosters. I'm assuming it's probably.
I'd imagine tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Which the day this episode goes out probably. Easy to forget. We're recording this right after the games, but we'll see if he's included. I don't think, like, from the sounds of it, he's probably not going to. I don't think he's even running yet.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing though. If you can just get him to rest and you win this series and you get him healthy for the ALCS, obviously it's a big if, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge part of this team. He's a big reason why the Jays won the division. So anything you do to get him healthy, you're gonna do that, and obviously not try to risk having a setback in his recovery.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want. Is then something worse happens, and then he still can't play, right? Or then even when he is playing, he's just not really giving you his best ball. That's the last kind of things you want, right?
Yeah.
What you are probably... Another thing to look at, though, is both of these teams have some kind of interesting bullpen things. Toronto has had some very up and down pitchers in their bullpen. Jeff Hoffman's been very up and down. The Yankees bullpen as a whole hasn't been spectacular. Especially considering this bullpen on paper looks a lot better than the way they've actually pitched.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. I think even Yankees fans would agree with me on that. Their bullpen has been very underwhelming for them this year. I'll go since the trade deadline, since that's, when they got a lot of the guys that are currently being rostered here. Since the trade deadline, they are 25th in bullpen ERA at 4.74. That's not very good.
Compared to the Blue Jays.
Compared to the Blue Jays, who are 16th at 4.07.
Yeah.
It's not great.
No.
But it's going to be interesting to see maybe if Aaron Boone is going to have is going to try to keep his starters out there longer, even if they don't have their best stuff. If he's just going to try to hold out a little bit more, or we'll see what he does. I don't know. Toronto's had some very up and down pitchers. I saw a thing the other day, and I'm gonna ask you. I want to hear what you think. Someone was saying, I don't even know if I want to include Yario Rodriguez in the playoff roster because he's been really bad lately.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I mean, he's obviously, we know what he's capable of doing, but he might be the odd man out on this roster right now in terms of, the bullpen. I really like what I've seen from, like, Tommy Nance. I've really liked what I've seen from throughout the whole season or at least since we got him, Sir Anthony. I've really liked Fisher. Little we know what he can be. I think that Yariel might be the odd man out in this group.
Yeah, I think the main thing with him is that he walks a lot of guys, and his strikeouts aren't really that crazy, and that kind of scares me against the Yankees here. Not to mention, I think a lot of the other guys are just better than him. That sounds crazy to say about a guy whose ERA is barely above 3, but hot take.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean,
I don't know.
his strikeout numbers are lower than anybody else in that bullpen, while his walk numbers are,
Higher.
near the top.
Like his walks per nine in the second half are over 6. It's almost 6.5.
Yeah, that's not great.
It's not good.
No.
You can't have that come in. You can't have him come in, walk 2 batters, and then he gets pulled after. You can't have that in a close playoff game. You just can't. You simply cannot afford something like that. And it's not like he's so good at everything else where it doesn't matter. It's not like he's prime Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the case. Also, low key, Mason Fluharty's absolutely fucked.
And he 1,000% should be on the roster.
He's absolutely ridiculous. You might look at his... Listen, some men may look at his 4.44 ERA and say, hey, I don't want that on my playoff roster. I tell you, I don't give a fuck. Because he's kind of fucking nasty.
I tell you, you're wrong.
I tell you, he's ridiculous. His 241 since the All-Star break. Decent strikeout numbers, 405 FIP.
Let's not forget what he did to Shohei Ohtani and company.
This is true. You want to guess what his strikeouts per 9 were in September?
I'm going to guess like 16.
It was 13 and a half. And guess what his walks per 9 was?
210.
0.
He didn't walk a batter.
He didn't walk a single batter. Albeit it was 5 in the third inning, so it wasn't like the run he was getting. It wasn't like the same run he was getting in like May and June.
Right.
But regardless, even in like August, like, you know what I mean? His ERA wasn't really as good in August, but like he's I mean the walks were still kind of up. Regardless, I think he's pitched really, 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 really well down the stretch. That I think he's kind of earned that spot. I think really that's what it comes down to. I also think you kind of want a second lefty in there. I mean, they're probably going to include Lauer, but you probably... I don't think Lauer's the kind of guy you bring in for a one-inning relief role.
I mean, you still have Little.
Little is very shaky, too, though. That's the thing.
He is, but, I mean, I'm taking Little and Fluharty over Justin Brule.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The discussion is not Justin Brule. It's whether or not they're going to make it.
Right, no, I know. I'm just saying, like...
Don't worry.
In terms of...
Don't worry.
No, I mean, I would definitely, if you can get all those guys, like, that's the thing. I think that's why Rodriguez is the odd guy out.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but, you know...
Yeah, and that's in part...
Someone has to be sacrificed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Not everyone can make the roster, but, you know, you only have 26 spots, and someone does have to be left off. Certain guys have to be on there. I think in the case of the Blue Jays, I think it would come down to like him or Nance or him or Fluharty, and I would pick the other two guys over him. But yeah, speaking of bullpen stuff, a lot of the Blue Jays pen, I know that their bullpen ERA isn't like spectacular in the second half, but they have a lot of very good individual pitchers down there. Sir Anthony and even Louis Varland, I know he has been kind of up and down with us. He's still like absolutely insane.
His last outing was so electric.
I know, he's really good. Tommy Nance, we were just talking about him. He's been so good.
I mean, Sir Anthony Dominguez in the postseason over his career has been absolutely incredible, and if he's the closer, I am not complaining at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that, you know, I sent you his stats. In 17.2 career innings in the postseason, he has a 102 ERA with a 13.75 K per 9, a FIP of 0.78, a WHIP of 0.96, And do you know how many home runs?
Tell me how. Tell me how many.
0.
0, baby. Fat goose egg. Yeah, they have some
That's enough.
pretty decent individual pitchers down there. Like we said, Sir Anthony, Varland, Nance, Fluharty, Little. Even if you want to go with a guy like Lauer. I know that Jeff Hoffman's results have not been very good this year, but he has like very good like strikeout and walk stuff that, albeit his home run stuff, is very concerning. It's still. I might have a heart attack when he comes into the game, but even if he gets out of it, bases might have been loaded. But listen, they never asked.
That's one of those things. That's one of those things where it's kind of eye test versus the the actual stats, because if you were to watch him over the past, let's say, 7 outings or so, it would look like, oh my god, this guy's gonna blow it because he gets the walks.
Absolutely.
But then he got out of it.
He just gets out of it somehow. I don't know how the hell he does it.
He hasn't, in his last 6 outings, he hasn't given up a run. He gave up a run in one of those in the game before that, and before that was another 5 games without a run. So definitely down the stretch, he's been much, much, much better, and that would be huge.
It's the
if the Jays can get him the version of him that we saw, the first month of the season, and that the reason why the Jays signed him. If we get that Jeff Hoffman, then he's got a very good bullpen.
It's another very good weapon in their bullpen. It's literally you know what it is? It's the Jordan Romano thing where he'll get the save, but it's like every single time he just has to make it very stressful.
Yeah, the Jeff Hoffman, the average Jeff Hoffman subplot, whatever.
Gausman goes 7 innings, allows 1 run, and strikes out 9. Jeff Hoffman subplot. Oh yeah. Man, but yeah, we haven't really talked about the Jays' offense either. We've talked about most stuff pertaining to the Yankees. We haven't really talked about the Jays lineup. We've talked about it separately on other things before. The Jays lineup is one that can beat you in a lot of different ways. They are capable of hitting the ball out of the yard a decent amount of the time. They are not one of the top home run hitting teams in the league, but for example, since the deadline, they were 6th in home runs with 73. They were only behind the Dodgers, Mariners, Phillies, Mets, and I almost said the Twins, the Yankees.
Yeah.
I don't know why I almost said Twins. They can slug. They're not, I don't know if I'd fully call them a slugging team, but they can slug with the best of them. Since the deadline, they're 4th in slugging percentage.
Yeah. And this could also be extreme, hopium, but Santander had some decent looking swings at the end of the regular season.
Even outside of him,
I'm not saying
you have a
he was
decent
incredible.
Even outside of him, you have a lot of guys that can just run into one. George Springer is more than George Springer had an incredible year. Vlad, even though he's he wasn't spectacular down the stretch, he's more than capable of running into one, right? I don't know how they're going to use Varsho against lefties, TBH, but even he is capable of running into one. He has
and
really
with his
good
glove, if you play him, it's not like it's a stupid decision.
Absolutely.
You're getting yeah, for sure. John Schneider definitely has some we could say he has some decisions to make.
Mm-hmm.
He also has a lot of things to play with here, and there's a lot of different things he can do. I'd love to see Davis Schneider, maybe start every game. Honestly, the way he's able to swing the bat.
Honestly, you're right. I would too.
There's definitely options for sure.
He's damn nice. You're looking at because the Yankees are gonna throw a lot of lefties at, well, not a lot of lefties, I should say, but for example, in a game against game 2 and game 3, you're gonna probably. I'm not going to say you're going to stack your lineup with righties, but you're going to need a more lefty favorable matchup just because, you're going up now against Carlos Rodon. You're going up against Max Fried. In game 1, you might see a more standard lineup. You'll see Varsho and Barger and all those guys in those primetime hitting spots. You probably won't see that. You probably won't see them in those same spots against a left-handed pitcher just because neither of them are quite as good. I think the lefty matchups for them, they kind of are obviously favored towards the Yankees, not just because of how good the pitchers are, but the Jays, I feel they just hit righties a lot better. than they do against left-handed pitching. So it's going to be a big thing to look at, how they're going to be able to fare against those guys. Not that they haven't beat them before, because they've smacked the hell out of Max Fried this season at times. But if they're going to be able to get really good at bats, get a lot of production against those pitchers, they're going to put themselves in a really good spot. And if the Yankees are going to be able to obviously do what they do best, crank the hell out of the ball, especially against certain pitchers who maybe allowed a little bit more. Like, for example, like I said, Shane Bieber kind of has not been the greatest at preventing home runs since he's come back from his injury. If they're able to go in a game 2 or 3 against Bieber and they're able to hit a couple early in the game, they're going to put themselves in a really good position to win too. Both of these teams are ridiculous, man. Both these teams are nuts.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a hell of a series. And I think we could end it off giving our predictions for the 4 series in terms of how many games and who wins. I mean, I'm sure mine are going to be the same as, or both of ours are going to be the same as what we said on the bracket. But
yeah, I think I'll start with Jays Yankees just because of the series we were just talking about. I do think that this is probably the most intriguing matchup. I think these teams have a lot of strengths, but they also have a lot of weaknesses to look at. Well, Phillies Dodgers also really interesting because those teams are really similar, but this series is really interesting too. Both these teams are very evenly matched. I do think that I slightly favor the Jays all around as a squad. I think that the Yankees have some things that are quite shaky about them. Like I said, their bullpen is quite shaky. For example, again, like they're going to go probably, I would imagine they're going Luis Gil in game 1. I don't know if they officially said that or not, but I would imagine they are. You're probably going Luis Gil in game 1. He has not been the greatest since he's come back. Some of the guys coming out of the bullpen also haven't been too great. Luke Weaver has not been good in the second half. Devin Williams has not had the greatest season. I just don't love it. For them, I do think that their rotation probably has a slight advantage, and obviously the position players. I do think that the Yankees have the better crop of position players. However, I do think that the Jays, especially some of the Jays starters you're going to see, for example, you're going to see Gausman probably in game 1 or game 2. You're probably going to see a Bass in a game 4. Both those guys have been very good at preventing home runs. We will see, obviously, how that fares against the Yankees, but those are the type of guys that you want going against them. Guys who are going to not let them barrel the ball. Maybe guys who are going to get more ground balls against them. Those are the type of guys you want. Do you remember way back when the A's were playing the Yankees and they didn't start Mike Fiers, despite the fact that he was probably their best starter all season because he's a fly ball pitcher? You remember that?
Yeah.
Obviously, they went bullpen game and it didn't work out, but it's that kind of thing, right? You don't want
for sure
big time like fly ball pitcher. You don't want you want guys who are going to be able to get ground balls. Even a guy like Shane Bieber, he has a pretty good ground ball rate. Almost half the balls in play that he induces are on the ground. With Gausman, it's not quite as many ground balls, but he's still good enough at preventing the home run that I think he matches up relatively well against the Yankees. But with that being said, it's totally entirely possible and very plausible and very well can happen that the Yankees just absolutely just crush a starter or two, or they get some big homers off the bullpen and their starters are good enough to hold Toronto off. That's very well thing that can happen. I just slightly am leaning Toronto in this series, and I'm gonna go in 5 because I think this is a very even series.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I want the Blue Jays, and I do think that they have a great shot, obviously. I mean, they won the division. They got this far.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said the Yankees in terms of not getting my hopes up, that's why I'm saying the Yankees here again. I'm sticking to it, I guess. So let's go Yankees in 4.
Yankees in 4. Okay. All right. We will go next. Let's
hope I'm wrong.
Mariners and Tigers.
Yeah, so I think that whatever game Skubal starts, they're gonna win the first.
I was gonna say I got a Mariners. I got a Mariners in 4 right here.
I got
Scooble.
Mariners in 4.
Scooble.
Scooble steals one.
I'll give Scooble and I'll give the Tigers the win for whatever game Scooble starts. Every other game they're probably going to have the pitching advantage, and obviously they have a big advantage because their lineup is a lot better, and even their bullpen is still pretty good. So
Yeah.
I would just give it to the Mariners. I think the talent on that team is a lot better. I think the way they performed this season is a lot better. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with them. What do you want to do? We'll do Cubs, Brewers.
I got Cubs in 4.
This is a really tough one. I'm going to go Cubs in 5 here. I'm going to go Cubs in 5.
Yeah. See, it's just funny how we kept stressing that the reason that we're like that the Brewers, just because they lost in the past, aren't going to lose again just to pick against them. But it has nothing to do with that. I like the Cubs.
It's literally just how good we think the Cubs team are. I'll be honest. If it was the Padres, I would have absolutely picked. I would have picked the Brewers in like 3. I'm so serious. I would have picked the Brewers in 3 if they were going against the Padres.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, it has nothing to do with we think the Brewers are frauds or this and that. It's literally just like literally anything can happen in the playoffs. Like there's a Tigers can make the World Series right now, even though we're picking against them. Like it can happen, right? The Brewers could literally not lose a game all playoffs. Like it very well could happen. Yeah, I don't think trading the playoffs, like, oh well, this team's fraud, they haven't won in the past, blah blah. I do still think that mentality of, well, the Brewers never won in the past, so what are they going to do this year? I got to pick against them, whatever. I think that's still a very kind of dumb mentality, but you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go Cubs in 5 on this one, just because I still think the
Brewers. I say 4, but that's just because I feel it, you know.
It's like they kind of their strengths kind of counter each other a little bit, so it's gonna be interesting to see how they match up. Dodgers and Phillies. This is another one. I got Phillies in 5 right here.
So do I. Exact same thing. I think that could be a very, 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 and it should be a very, very entertaining series. So
it should be, and I imagine it's going to be. That's going to be an electric series.
Yes.
Really good rotations, really good offenses, power-oriented offenses as well. I just think I slightly lean the Phillies 1-2-3 over the Dodgers 1-2-3. Like when I say slightly, I mean by like a hair. And then I think I slightly like the Phillies bullpen better. But again, who knows? Maybe the Dodgers come out of it. Decent chance they do. Who knows? It's a lot of these series. It's a coin flip, honestly. That's how I feel about the Dodgers Phillies, and that's how I feel about Jays Yankees. I feel like those are 2 coin flip series right there. So
yeah,
we'll see how those go. And that is going to do it. It's almost 1 a.m. This will go up in the morning. I'll schedule this so y'all can listen to it Friday morning or afternoon, day before the division series all starts. So we obviously, congratulations to everyone whose team advanced past the wild card round. If your team didn't, that's okay. You still made the playoffs, and making the playoffs is a really hard thing to do.
For sure.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, only one team can win. That's one thing we also got to remember. Only one team can win. Not every single team is going to be able to win it all. For some people, it's a really tough pill to swallow, but you know what? Sometimes it just is what it is, you know? So that's okay. You don't have to. Not every team can win, so it's all right. But yeah, that's going to do it for today, unless you have anything else, Ethan.
No, we will see you for our championship series preview.
Yeah, we'll see you after the division series are all concluded. Yeah, these are going to be some fun series. We hope we're obviously hoping for some great series. We hope everyone has fun watching them. Yeah, and we'll see you after these series are concluded. Everyone, we hope you take care. Bye-bye.